I was scrolling through some data on retirement the other day, and this statistic made my jaw drop. The average pension or retirement plan most people have only replaces about 50% of what they used to make. Let me repeat that. The average pension or retirement plan most people have only replaces about 40 to 50% of what they used to make if they're lucky. And most people have no idea this is coming, and it shocked me. It made me start wondering where I am on this financial front. Up to this point, I had only been looking at Social Security as an income when I retire and nothing else. Now, I'm not retired yet. I'm a couple of years out, but the closer I get, the more I realize nobody has ever sat down and explained this kind of stuff to me. I didn't learn this in high school. I didn't learn this in college. I didn't learn this anywhere, but now I'm starting to learn it, and that learning curve kind of is like hitting a big brick wall. Now, I want to walk you through the 4 questions I keep running in my head. And if you're anywhere near retirement yourself, you've probably asked these questions too. How much money do I really need to be able to retire comfortably? Most pensions and 401k plans only replace, like I said, somewhere between 40 and 50% of what you were bringing in when you were working. And that statistic isn't a mistake. I did the research. I went through and I read everything I could about it. This is solid information. What you really need to do, no matter where you are income-wise right now, you need to plan on losing half of that income the day you stop working and retire. And a big thing here you have to keep in mind too, bills don't retire when you retire. Your electricity bill doesn't know you're retired. Your water bill doesn't know you're retired. Your gas bill, your phone bill, none of your bills know you are retired. And groceries still need to be purchased every single week, whether a paycheck is coming in or not. And you also need to consider there's a lot of those little company perks that will disappear the same day you retire too. You know, the employer paid cell phone, the gas allowance, the company vehicle, and the one big one that most people don't think about is the health coverage that your employer was paying for. All of that is gone at once. Add those up and that 50% replacement number gets much smaller very fast. So the real math starts to become very problematic when you really start to crunch the numbers. But here's the real problem. Most people don't actually know what they spend every month. If you can't tell me your real cost of living right now, today, what you're paying for lights and for gas and for phone and for food and for everything else, then any number that you pick for retirement is pretty much just a guesstimate, not a plan. So what I started to do was I started to track everything. I started to keep a spreadsheet that's got all of our expenses and really watching every number that we spend, so I have a good idea of what we are actually spending. When I do go into retirement, I don't want to have to cut down on the quality of my life, if you will, because my money is less. So I need to understand what I am spending, what I really need to be spending, and what my income is really going to look like, and will it match or exceed what my expenditures are going to be. But knowing your number doesn't tell you where the money is supposed to come from. And mixing up the wrong accounts is exactly how people run out of cash in their 70s instead of their 90s. That made me realize that your money needs to really do 2 different types of jobs. One job is guaranteed income. Your pension, your Social Security, maybe an annuity, and its only job is covering the necessities you need to live on. The other income is the investment type of income, your savings, your market accounts, your Roth IRA, maybe some rental properties. And this is what pays for the extras, the trips, the hobbies, all of that fun stuff. So here is the rule that I am adding into my plan that I am hoping is really going to help me make that money stretch and last longer and longer. And that is to never, ever touch the seed money unless it's absolutely necessary. Now, that seed money is the balance in all of those investment accounts. I can spend the interest, the dividends, and the returns on those accounts that they generate, but I don't want to touch the principal in itself when I retire. The moment I start to eat into the seed money, the principal, then I would really be starting a countdown clock instead of a sustainable plan. So I would suggest that you label your accounts before you retire, not after. Which ones are floor money that has to be there no matter what, and which ones are fun money that you can flex, you can spend every year. I don't want to be one of the people who mix those two up and I run out early. I want to make sure I have enough for many decades ahead into retirement. But here's the uncomfortable part. One thing that I keep seeing when I research all of this is it can take one single expense that can undo every smart move I could try to put into place financially. And that one thing would be a single hospital stay. That could crush you if you go in and you have to be in the hospital for 5 days, 10 days. You're talking up to $100,000 in hospital bills. Medical spending is one of the biggest costs that I will face in later life. I know that. And it's usually the first benefit that disappears the day you leave your job, if you have a job that pays for your insurance. Now, myself, I don't have insurance from my job. I'm self-employed, so I'm self-insured. But the insurance that I have, which I currently go through Christian Healthcare Ministries, that will disappear when I retire. So I had to make plans for a good Medicare plan. The one thing that I keep hearing, I keep seeing, I keep reading is that most retirees are but one hospital bill away from bankruptcy and wiping out all of their savings. And that's why making sure you have a good Medicare plan in place is very important. Now, I decided to go with a Medicare N plan, and I have another video that I made that talks about that. Actually, I think there's a couple of my earlier videos that talk about that if you want to go back and watch those. My Medicare plan will take care of, in a nutshell, all of my doctor's visits, hospital visits, emergency room visits, ambulances, in-home care, nursing costs, different things like that. But there is a cost to that you need to make sure you're aware of. Now, every one of those numbers that we've discussed so far really kind of gives the assumption that you started planning years ago. So, what if you're like me and you didn't start planning years ago? What now? Is it too late to start saving for retirement? The way I look at it is every situation in life is redeemable. It doesn't matter if I feel behind right now or if I feel like I made a lot of mistakes. There's something I can do. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't save a whole lot of money over the last few years. I have a good savings account for emergency contingencies. I have a healthy Roth IRA, but we're not talking millions in there. But I do know that it's not enough for me to just live off of. So I need to continue planning on improving those accounts. The one thing to keep in mind is that compounding interest still works even if you start later in life. It just works a little slower, which means starting today can still be a lot better than not starting at all. So I still contribute to my Roth IRA. My biggest contribution, though, for retirement is still getting our house paid off, because that large payment for the mortgage, that having not have that when I retire is very, very important, because that's going to take that huge upfront cost that we were talking about to live down considerably. But I'm also, like I said, continuing to contribute to my Roth IRA. My wife is opening up a Roth IRA too. Now, she's younger than me. She's got a few more years, but we need to get that going as well. So when we are both retired, both of our incomes will hopefully take care of all of the bills and everything that's coming in. And it's not as much hopefully. We have put it to paper, and it does work. And then we can use all of our interests and our dividends and everything like that for our fund money. Peace of mind is something that really, really matters to me. And doing the math and making sure I understand the math is where a lot of this peace of mind comes in. Maybe my biggest dreams aren't ever going to come true. I'm not going to have the big yacht, or I'm not going to be sitting on the beach, nor do I really ever want all of those. But knowing that I'm going to be able to live comfortably and not have to live in the poorhouse, if you will, that makes it a whole lot easier for me to consider retiring in a couple of years. Now, if you're in this same stretch of life as I am, if you're getting ready to retire here in the next year or two, let me know what your thoughts are about the upcoming problems, challenges, everything like that. Where are you financially, and what are you doing on planning that? And if you found any value or enjoyment in this, please consider going down and hitting that thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. That really does help the channel out a lot.